DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
We're live.
Oh, I'm sorry.
When you have something like that, no one will mess with you. I mean,
Yeah.
and it's always the most unexpected ones that would be that way. That it would be like all of a sudden you're like.
We were just talking about how my mother told me one time that she figured out the perfect way to murder somebody and get away with it. So we're just having this conversation just because thought I'd share it with the class.
Good evening and welcome, everyone. We are going out right now to YouTube and Facebook. So if you're joining us in one or the other, thank you very much for being with us tonight. The chat we're going to be following mainly is on the YouTube chat. So if you are watching us on Facebook, in the description of that video, you can go down, you can find a link to get over to YouTube. Or you can be on the Facebook chat if that works out better for your mobile device. And then we can, I'll be popping back and forth and checking the chat. So if you have any comments, thoughts, or ideas, put them in the chat.
We'll look at it.
Probably won't acknowledge it. Probably will ignore it. Most likely will laugh at it during and later.
Can you believe what that person asked us?
Yeah.
Ugh.
But put it in the chat.
It's not like that.
No, it's not. No, usually there's more insightful things said in the chat room than there is on the show. It's like
usually, yeah.
Whoa.
Thank you for watching, by the way.
Oh.
All 7 of you, I appreciate it.
I've got a crew coming in there. Thank you guys for joining us there tonight. So, Brian, I wanted to kind of talk about a variety of different things and a little bit of wedding and music and different things. So we haven't really dug into music for a while. So I kind of wanted to spend some time with that a little bit tonight. But before we get into that, you said you had a couple of things you wanted to bring up. So,
well, it's no fun if I tell you I'm throwing curveballs at you, which I did just to prepare you. But there are some things I wanted to talk about before we get into the music chat, if you don't mind.
Let's go. I mean, unless people want us to go into the music side of it and talk about that, but then I'm going to be completely distracted because I'm going to be sitting there on pins and needles thinking, what does he want to talk about?
No. We'll do it now. We'll do it right now. So did you catch any of the videos I did today? Did you anything I did today?
I saw some of the pictures. Okay,
well, basically what I did was I did a quick DJ tips in under a minute video. Mm-hmm. Those are the videos that Jay has inspired me to do. Right. So I was basically building my wedding timeline yesterday, and I was going to print it. And then my client popped in on Facebook this morning when I got up and made like 3 changes.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, so I made the changes. And I got to thinking, you know what? I'm going to throw this up as a tip because I always wait until like maybe Friday to print the list because the client is inclined to make changes up until that date. And I don't want to mix up the additions of the timeline I've printed. So I'd rather just print one that I know they're not going to reasonably change. You know, I understand the day of there are changes made, you know, because of substitutions or whatever, you know, but I wait to print that master thing, you know.
Right. The final. Yep.
Right. So nobody questioned me on my timeline format because I literally do it in Microsoft Word and I put the times for everything in the order everything goes in. Mm-hmm. I have a sheet, like if I'm doing ceremony, I'm doing ceremony Saturday. I have a ceremony sheet. Then I also have a reception sheet. There's a separate grand entrance sheet printed nice and big and bold. And then I also usually have some kind of music request sheet.
Nice.
So it's 4 documents that I always have with me, or 3, depending on what the activities are at the event. trying to get everything, put together in order that makes sense for the client.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody questioned me on that. Nobody said, why do you do that? What a lot of people asked me was, why do you print it? Why don't you use a tablet, or why don't you use Microsoft OneNote or your iPad or whatever the case might be?
Yeah.
So I did a follow-up video on that and explained my reasoning for using a printed document opposed to using a tablet.
Okay.
And I just thought I'd throw that out there and find out kind of what you were thinking, what some of the people in the room were thinking too. I'll give you my reasoning for using it, for using a printed document. First of all, it's something that anyone could easily understand. So if something were to happen to me, like, I don't know, I had a stroke and was in the hospital for 5 weeks, which happened, I could simply hand this document to somebody and say, please do this wedding. There would be no questions. I wouldn't have to ask if they had this particular app, or if they were a Mac user, or if they were familiar with OneNote or anything else. I could just hand them the sheet of paper. The other reason is I don't want to rely on technology for this stuff. For myself personally, when I'm gigging, I don't want to no longer be able to scroll for some reason. It freezes up during the grand entrance. I don't want the thing to overheat at an outdoor ceremony. I don't want the battery to go low on me. I don't want to drop it and crack the screen or whatever the case might be. It's paper, This is something that, isn't going to die on you. The battery's not going to run down. The worst thing that could happen is your dog could eat it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Another reason, and I thought this was a reason that you could probably relate to, and we deal with this every month with the paper edition of Disc Jockey News. When things go to print, I think people kind of understand it's final. This isn't something that you can go back and edit. So what I tell my clients is, I'm going to print the final document on Friday. So if you have any changes you need to make this week, go ahead, because I'm not going to finalize this until Friday.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't make any changes, fine. If they do, fine. This is going to prevent my client from making arbitrary changes the day of, because they understand that the final edition was printed on Friday. So if there's a substitution, for instance, if one of the bridesmaids didn't show up and they had to bring in somebody else, or a groomsman, or whatever the case might be, not a big deal. We can use a pencil and scratch it out and rewrite it. But the chances of your client popping up with a completely different, obscure first dance song are probably minimal, because they already understood that the final edition was printed on Friday. It's kind of a mental thing, I think, with some of the clients. What are your thoughts on that?
I print everything, and I'm going to continue to do that. And it's mainly for one big reason, is sometimes when I'm moving back and forth, I can be a little clumsy. And if I drop my iPad, it's probably not going to do well.
Right.
And that's really probably the biggest reason why I continue to print the things. Because yes, I can go on the iPad, I can scroll and make it and do everything, and I could have all my information there. And I have had that on a couple of occasions. But having the clipboard and having that mounted, I've got a little stand that will mount and hold that clipboard in nice and tight, and having that right there in front of me so I can go and I can do my introductions and different things. Mm-hmm. The only time it's really a pain for me is when I'm doing multiple pages. If I've got 2 pages of introduction, and it's like, sit that one down, get that lined up. Okay,
right.
Go. But
I do my introductions at my DJ stand.
Yep.
So my paper's lying on the table, flat surface, and big bold print. I can just glance down and say what I have to say on the microphone. I'm not holding it in front of me.
Yeah, I don't hold it either. I mean,
it's a completely hands-free thing. I mean, the microphone's on a stand, the paper's sitting in front of me. I can use my hands to do other things. It's just a glance. There's no scrolling. There's no relying on that. The other, I guess, point that I made, and I think for me it's so obvious. Now you can send your vendors, or you can send the client a final, copy of this thing, even if it's approved early. Okay, Wednesday, we're done. We're not going to make any changes. Feel free to share this with your vendors. Mm-hmm. They send it to the photographer or whoever, and then at the event, the photographer walks up to you and says, "Hey, what's going on? I don't know. What's happening?" They didn't bother to look at it, and I guess I don't expect them to, because I don't look at things a photographer sends me usually. When they and I was making a joke. They never send me anything. Mm-hmm. Nobody sends me. Wedding planners don't send me anything. So it's so easy for me to say, "Oh yeah, right here on this sheet of paper, it's this, this, and this." and I can hand it to them if they need to take it and do something with it. Opposed to me saying, so do you use Microsoft OneNote?
Yeah.
Oh, well, what's your address on that? And here's the no. Because the answer is going to be no most of the time.
For sure.
It just seemed like a very young DJ perspective, or just a very person who just loves tech would do something like this.
And I think for some people, even some of our friends, that are our age, they're into that tech world so much that they would almost feel uncomfortable with a piece of paper. And then we have people that don't want the newspaper anymore because they just don't feel they don't touch paper anymore to a point.
Right.
But that's not me. I mean, that's not how I function. Not that I'm into the new, that's just what it is. But
yeah,
to have
right.
that ability to have that, and the number of times where somebody comes up and they're like, "Hey, did you know that it's Grandma Jones's 80th birthday today? And can you send out a special song to?" And it's like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, it's the bride's grandma." And we did. I don't know why the bride didn't tell me it was her 80th birthday. Well,
Right.
I'm busy writing that note down in a corner of my document, so I have it. If I've got just a second, let's see. Okay, new doc. Okay, new.
Yeah, right.
And what was that name? Oh shoot, I mistyped it.
Right.
Oh,
sorry,
autocorrect.
Let me reboot it and I'll put it down here. I have no time for that.
Yeah, exactly. And instead, 80th birthday, Grandma Nora, whatever. Boom, I can do that and quit.
Somebody in the comments section on one of the videos I did mention that this is also how like real production works. Like if you go into video production stuff, TV or whatever, it's paper. People don't send you emails and give you one-word documents. It's always paper. Here it is.
Mm-hmm.
Real production works that way too because it's simple. You can't screw it up. So, yeah, thought I'd throw that.
No, that's a good area. And I saw the when you mentioned the video about printing at the very last minute, I chuckled because a number of times I've gotten to the point where it's like, oh yeah, it's Thursday night. I'm just going to get everything all printed up so then I don't have to worry about it tomorrow. And the next day, because we get notification when it changes.
Yeah. By the way.
Or when we've got a hard deadline on the thing, so they can't log in after a certain point in time to make a change. And that's when you get the list. Hey, I've got a few changes. Here's the Word doc. I'm just going to send it right to you. And you look at it, it's like, oh my God, they've got 8 pages of songs that they only had 4 songs on the
right.
what I printed. And now here's all of their requests.
Yeah. So I have to wait.
Yeah.
Otherwise it's a waste of my time and paper. Like, well, no big deal, but still. But somebody else brought up an interesting point. If they print early and then changes are made and they make the mistake of not destroying the original document,
Yep, you might
they
grab
can bring that with them and it being like, oh no, So I don't know. It was just something I thought I'd bring it up in the room. I think they're still talking about something completely different in the room, like they usually do, but that's okay. I thought it was an interesting topic to bring up, but the room differs. The room's talking about something else. So here's my next one. And forgive me, John, forgive me if I'm way off base with this. If it's like, I don't, maybe the sky's blue and I say it's green and you're like, why didn't you know the sky was blue? Okay. Who in the hell are these people? They keep sending me crap. Who are they?
Is that is that a magazine that they sent you?
It's a little flyer, and I don't know anybody here. The only person I know or kind of know, something sponsored by Drax.
I mean, that's Wedding MBA coming up in October right there.
Yeah, but I don't know any of these people. Why don't I know these people? I don't know these people giving the things. I don't know. Who are these people?
Well, these are they are Wedding MBA speakers to a point that are David there is a national I don't remember. He's I don't think he's with the Knot, but he's a high-end bridal consultant designer, and he's very well respected in that arena, and that's pretty much what you have there.
All right.
And the Wedding MBA, of course, is in October 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, down in Vegas.
Of course.
Just bought the airfare today because Sun Country was running a sale on airfare today. It's like, yeah. So
100 wedding business seminars.
Yeah, and they've got a track for DJs. They have a track for photographers. They have a track for coordinators, and we can all go down there, and you can bounce and pick the different track you want to be in, and such, and getting all that. So it's a cool thing, and you're getting it because you are on that. I would guess
somehow hit a mailing list.
Yeah,
I was like, who? What is this? This isn't no expo floor. This is just talking about
the educational side. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what it is. David Turtetta, is a wedding planner, and I want to say he's based out of the Chicago area. Casey is knows him very well, and as
Wedding DJs International.
Yeah, they've got a lot of different URLs and different things. They wanted to make their show a destination DJ event. They're trying to get butts and seats just like every other show.
Sure. And what did it say here? They had quite a claim here. It was somewhere about the attendance was like really massive.
Yes, they do have a huge crowd there. I mean,
this must be like a completely like different clan than I'm ever even talking.
This is not. I mean, you will
like completely different people. Like they're. I mean, I got a pretty big audience,
and it's not very many of our audiences.
Here.
No,
these people don't. Yeah. It's really weird. It's odd like that.
When you walk into the halls at Mobile Beat and you see the crowd with the suits, it's their audience, or they're in that audience. No wonder I don't go. So it's just a different.
Right. No, I just wouldn't know because I saw this. I'm like, who the hell are these people?
Yeah. I got a postcard, I think, from that today, also, and it's like, oh, and I just bought the airfare. Yeah. So airfare to get down there. Let's go into this one. Because of it being the slow time of the year, and the airfare company wants to basically generate some income, and they don't sell as many tickets in the summer. Airfare to Vegas for Lori and I, with picking our seats and such, was $358 round trip for both of us.
That's good.
So that's under $200 a person.
Sure, that's for both. It's crazy.
It's like, oh my gosh, it's like that was incredibly cheap.
Right. So now you got to do is find a room and you're good.
So yeah. So that was, and Lori's not opposed to the cardboard box that's right by the convention center. So we're
crash there. Why not?
Yeah.
And if all else fails, there's always circus.
Yeah, we did that once. Yeah, we won't be doing that again.
All right, my diversion's over. I took 20 minutes of your time.
I'm sorry. That's quite all right. That's quite all right. So we wanted to talk a little bit about getting into the music side tonight, and specifically talking about wedding music, because Brian, you've been out the last couple of weekends with performing at weddings and such. And if you guys have got questions, Robin or Ben or whoever, if you've got some questions, please. But otherwise, we're going to kind of focus on performing of music, and really, I think the area in which I wanted to kind of start off with, Brian, is when we're dealing with a wedding crowd, there's songs that are the old reliables that we kind of know will go over, and then there's the take a chance songs, if you know what I'm saying. And then we've talked about the surprise songs, and I think that the area in which is the difficult one to get a feel for is when do we take a chance and when do we go safe with our music play. And I wanted to kind of get your feeling on that, because I know you like you like to be a little bit kind of creative about your playlist sometimes.
I want them to just be happy. I feel like I can take more liberties with any crowd if I've won them early. Mm-hmm. So if I go in there and I give them exactly what they want before they can even ask me for it, they trust me. I used to do this at schools all the time. You go to the school and you're obviously not a 17-year-old. And so they challenge you. And especially here in Milwaukee, it's a little different than, out.
Give us an example when you say challenge you. What would that kind of look like?
They're asking you for songs that don't come out until next week, just to see what you're made of.
Yep.
They're just throwing titles at you. Hey, do you got this? Do you got this? Before you can even start, they're throwing the stuff. They're trying to qualify you as you suck, because they're expecting you to say no. And then I simply just say to them, hey, look, I appreciate your help. Give me 3 songs, and if I'm not doing my job, come back and talk to me. And then what do? I take the biggest piece of wood I can and smack him over the back of the head with it as hard as I can the songs that they wanted before they could even ask for them. So the hottest songs. Boom, boom, boom. I did it for 20 minutes. They think that I'm the coolest guy over 30 they've ever met. And then I can do anything I want because I've qualified myself as cool.
Mm-hmm.
So now, hey, he is cool. Whatever he does is cool. It's like I'm the leader now. I've become the alpha at the party, where before they were the alpha and beating me up, and I've shown them, no, here you go. Before you could even ask for it, I'm going to play it.
Mm-hmm.
The hottest songs. Hold nothing back. Just smack them hard. I can do anything I want from there on out. That's a good feeling, and that's when you can get creative and have fun, is when they trust you.
So now you talk about that at a teen event or a younger type event.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. You play those tunes that they want to hear before they can even ask for them. And then you also throw a few songs in there they didn't ask for because they didn't think of them, but they love. Then you can start having fun with your crowd. That's just how I do it. It's winning them over. It's like anything else. If you go to a party and start talking to somebody, you kind of looked at them and say, kind of weird looking guy, I don't know. You start talking to them and they're cool and they're smart and they're friendly. You know, once you know this person, you're almost a friend, and they can kind of say anything and go anywhere with you, and you're not on guard anymore. And you're like, okay, yeah, that's cool. You can talk about that. We have an open dialogue. You can talk about whatever you want with me. It's the same. Then maybe that's a really terrible analogy, but it's about winning their trust.
Mm-hmm.
If you have their trust, you can do anything you want with them.
And if you don't, you can.
If you don't, you're going to get bombarded all night with requests. They're gonna play a song, and the dance floor is going to be relatively full, and there's still going to be a line of chicks. Hey, when you going to play Katy Perry? You know, it's going to happen. But if you qualify yourself early, you're okay. And sometimes it's sabotage. The bride and groom already have that list for you. They want you to stick to it. They want you to do this kind of stuff. And you get the line. And you know right away, it's like, I'm going to have the line all goddamn night. This is not going to go away because I'm going to have no opportunity to win them over.
Mm-hmm.
And if I do, it's going to be later in the night, and they're going to take credit for it because they asked for it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you finally played my song, man.
Well, you did good because you played everything I asked for.
Mm-hmm.
Not because you actually put their request and 8 others in an order that made sense. No, it has nothing to do with that. It's because they asked for it. So they're now taking the credit. You can do that qualification early in the evening. You can take the credit for it. That's yours. That belongs to you. You read them and you totally played to them.
DJ Ernie, I don't know if you see this, Brian, but that build up to the hottest songs, because if you play them early, you'll be asked to play them again. That I used to do that.
I don't do it. Yeah.
I used to. That was the way. It's like, oh yeah, that'll be coming up, but it's going to be coming up.
Yeah, I'm going to hold it. It's going to be so good when I play it. I remember those days.
Yeah, and it's like, I at the proms this past year, I think I played probably 4 or 5 songs twice.
Who said that? Ernie?
Yeah.
DJ Ernie T?
Yep.
I'm going to address DJ Ernie T. I learned something a while back, and it wasn't from a DJ. It was from a stand-up comic.
Mm-hmm.
It was the eulogy that Louis C.K. gave to George Carlin, and it was at some library in New York. It was this big event, and Louis was just talking about his craft, and he was saying how for like 15 years he had this hour that he built of material, and he was really proud of it. And he found himself in this Chinese restaurant somewhere doing comedy, and nobody wants to hear comedy in the Chinese restaurant, but that was his gig, so he took it. And he was really depressed, and he got in his car, and he had the CD in his car. It was a CD of George Carlin talking about writing comedy, and he popped it in, and Carlin said, "What I do, dog, please stop it. What I do is I write an hour of comedy, and then I tour around and I spend a year developing that hour, perfecting it, tweaking it. At the end of the year, I do an HBO comedy special. And when I'm done with the HBO comedy special, I rip up that entire year and I start all over again." And Louis is like, wow, it took me 15 years to come up with this shitty hour, And this guy's ripping up every hour, every year. That's incredible. So what Louis did to try to break the cycle, and I thought this was interesting, and I tried it, and I really like it. He said, what I always used to do is I'd have this really strong bit, like this really funny thing, and I'd save it for the last bit. He said, and then I just threw it all out the window. I said, you know what I'm going to do from now on? I'm going to start with my first bit. Wait, hold on a second. Why is the dog pacing the floor? This is what it sounds like when I'm trying to shoot videos. I just scream upstairs, knock it off. And of course, none of that makes the video, but that's what it sounds like. So anyhow, so instead of ending with the strongest bit, he'd start with the strongest bit, like just right out of the gate, just bam. And it challenged him to make everything else that he had even better. And he became a better comedian for it. That's what I do with my music set. I have the strongest songs, and I know what they are. I know the songs that people are going to respond best to, and I throw them out immediately before they can even ask for them. People don't know what hit them. And then not only have I won them over, but it challenges me to do something new. I got to follow this crowd. I got to figure out who they are and what they want. And I can take them places that I maybe normally wouldn't be able to take them. And I can mix that set up into something completely different. There was a time as a DJ in the 90s and 2000s where I did the very same hour and a half for every gig. It worked. And I even made a CD when they could burn CDs and gave them to my friends and put directions on them as to how to do it. Because it was a successful thing. But every wedding was the same, man. It was just boring. Now I do a better wedding than any of those, and they're all different. And I love that. So that's for you, Ernie. And what I'm saying isn't gospel by all means. I'm not preaching at all. I'm just letting you know what I've done and what's worked for me. And as a 46-year-old DJ, I'm still growing. I'm not stuck in this one place, and I can't figure out why nobody wants to hire me anymore. I'm doing cool stuff, and I'm motivating crowds, more than half my age. I mean, younger than half my age, and they're like, "Wow, you're really good. You know your stuff."
Yeah, just going through some of the comments and such on the chat. It isn't. Somebody mentioned of playing all the bangers, not playing them first and such. I don't think it's so much of playing all of the your hot songs, but to do a really good set and not being afraid to use some of those hot songs early in the wedding.
Maybe. I know that I did the math on this recently. If you did a 5-hour gig, you could do something like, I think it was 87.3 songs. If the average song is 3.5 minutes long.
Right.
It's like 87.3 songs or something like that. So, I'm finding it really hard to comprehend in my head that in a mixed crowd, there's going to be a handful of songs that are going to be the only handful of songs that are going to be the best choices for this crowd. I'm finding that very hard to believe.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly.
In my lifetime. And I mean, there's so many places you can go, and where I think the best place to go is the unexpected. Effective yet. I mean, I'm not talking about going obscure on them and challenging them. I'm talking about giving them things that they forgot about, but they love it. Those are the tunes. They didn't expect you to play that. They'd forgotten all about that. And you threw it out there. Old girlfriend of mine going way, 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 way back. Still a friend of mine. And she contacted me a while back and she said, look, I'm building a playlist for my mother. And I want to do all yacht rock. So I need your help. So she showed me the list that she came up with, and I filled in some blanks and reminded her of some songs and whatever. And she pops up the other day and she says, I was thinking about adding like James Taylor Mexico to the list. What do you think? And I'm like, I don't know. It was kind of more folky than yacht rock. So, but I had a thought for you the other day when I was walking through the store. What about Susie Quattro Stumbling In? And she's like, what's that? I'm like, what do you mean, what's that? Susie Quattro Stumbling In. And she's like, I don't know that song. So you need to listen to it. Because you do know it. And sure enough, on the first note, she knew the song. And she was like, oh my God, this is perfect. She'd forgotten all about it.
Right.
Like she knew it by heart. I mean, it was embedded in her head. And until she listened to it, she had no idea what I was talking about. This just happened yesterday. And I just thought, wow, that is so cool. That's the good stuff. It's the oh yeah songs. When you hear them, it's like, holy crap, I haven't heard that in forever. Wow, I love this song. Reaction.
Mm-hmm.
Not the stuff they can request. Not the stuff they heard at the last 8 weddings they went to. Not the stuff that you've played at the last 8 weddings that you've done. The oh yeah, wow, I forgot about that track. Those are the fun ones.
Yeah, and I think that keeps that fresh, and it keeps things. Somebody mentioned that earlier. It keeps us entertained, for lack of a better way to describe it, because otherwise, as you mentioned earlier, those weddings were all the same that we did 10 to 15 years ago, because we had it scripted out and we had a working formula. Yeah,
if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Was the way I thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
This works. It works. I don't have to think about it. I just do it. They react well to it.
And I think as we continue forward, because of the changing way people are consuming their music and their media and different aspects of it, that it's going to be a changing crowd. And the experience that we're going to be called upon to create that musical journey, musical trip, musical experience in ways that we haven't before.
Mm-hmm.
And it's on one hand, it's kind of scary because it's going to be tougher to know. 15 years ago, if somebody would have said, hey, do you need requests? And it's like, I can read your crowd and I could probably tell you, but after spending 15 minutes with them, I could tell you 40 songs that would work really well for them. And I was very confident and I would be able to do it. Now, it's not because of a lack of experience or anything, but now you get into a room and it's like, okay, I've got a 35-year-old person. And at one time, a 35-year-old person, I could have kind of given you pretty close to what now it's so varied because of all the different influences.
Right.
Geography doesn't limit a person's musical taste. It did at one time.
Somebody who was 60 years old, I remember there was a time where you could guaranteed you get a reaction by playing anything from the 50s. Like that's what they wanted to hear. Or maybe, the early 60s. Now a 60-year-old may have absolutely no interest in that.
Mm-hmm.
They could be into 80s stuff. They could be into all kinds of things. You don't know. You just don't know.
A couple of people are having problems with the streams tonight on YouTube. We're streaming the same show, same show out at on Facebook. So if you go to discjockeynews.com, or excuse me, facebook.com/discjockeynews, the player should pop right up for you. So if you guys can't see us and it's not streaming for you here, go out there. And of course, I'm saying that, and those of you who are struggling aren't hearing that. So go to our Facebook page at facebook.com/discjockey. Can I spell it right? News.
You can do it.
We are also streaming there, and Robin is cool. So I just want to throw that last little part in there too.
Of course. All kinds of cool people in the room tonight. I don't know. I guess, there's no right or wrong here, guys. I'm please understand that the way I do something, it's working for me. That means whatever it means to you. You can try it or not. It doesn't matter. But it's exciting to me that my job is not monotonous,
mm-hmm.
and that I'm able to do something different every week, opposed to doing the same thing week after week. That gets old.
It really does, and I think that's one of the nice things about in the last year or so. Hey, I think that link actually worked. Spending more time over the last year of learning some new skills with Virtual DJ 8 and the mixing, and I've talked about this in other shows, is that it really has changed the performance aspect and taken that to a different level.
I also will say this. There are those of you out there, and there's nothing wrong with this, who are MC presenters.
Mm-hmm.
This is what you do. And this is what you sell. And this is maybe even why people are hiring you. I'm a DJ who is obligated to MC and present. And I'm a DJ first. That's what I love. That's why I do this. I don't do this because I like the sound of my own voice. I do it because I like music. I love music. And I love programming for people.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that has something to do with why I get so excited about doing a different completely different show every week, opposed to the same show.
Yeah.
Now, I'll say this. There are some songs that are my go-to tracks that I just play because they work. But what happens around those songs is always different. So I like doing Louis Armstrong's What a Wonderful World for my first open dance song because it's so familiar.
Yeah.
And young people know it and old people know it, and it's cool. For the last 2 years, I've loved opening with Happy by Pharrell. I've loved doing that just because everyone knows it.
Yeah.
And it's early, and they're already out there for What a Wonderful World, so I've got the demograph out there. I'm going to play a song that's kind of a throwback-sounding song, but relatively new. It's got a good beat. It's non-threatening. Your 7-year-old nephew's going to know it. Your 77-year-old grandmother's going to know it. Everyone's going to know it, and they're going to enjoy it. Well, they'll probably enjoy it. They should enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
What I do around those songs is always different, though. But the Happy, I haven't found a song that's quite like Happy.
No, there hasn't really been a song that has had that appeal, and it would be just so squeaky clean that it can go, and
right.
not have people say, "Do you know what that means?"
Exactly, and it's something that spans generations is what I like as well. Now what I follow up Happy with depends on my crowd, and where I go with that very much depends on my crowd.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like I'm doing the same hour. I'm starting here at point A, but where I go on the map from there just depends on who I'm with, and that would be my audience, where they want to go. Doesn't matter where I want to go; it matters where they want to go, and I do my best to take them there. And I always do my best work when someone else isn't trying to be my co-pilot on this crap.
The co-pilot, and not the quiet co-pilot either.
I didn't say backseat driver, although that would probably be more accurate.
More accurate, yeah. But they're the noisy the opinionated co-pilot.
Yeah.
I think if you played this.
The wedding music stuff, though, I always believe in the Happy is a nice example of that. Familiar is my point. Familiar and upbeat.
Yeah.
Is good stuff. So.
Yeah, I think that's really the key in that first block of time is that familiar things that have that wider appeal. And yet there's still times when you get it, you're in that first 4-song set and you're like all of a sudden you get that gut feeling. And the gut feeling is just something you can't teach. That's where our experience kicks in. That's where our love for music and that gut feeling tells you, you could do this right now. You could play Wake Me Up Before You Go or something like that.
There it goes.
Yeah,
there it goes.
Somebody's mentioned it a couple of times.
I had this conversation with somebody just the other day where I really went into depth with it. I did like the whole thing. Like I didn't make it a short story. I made it a nice long epic, because the wedding music information sheets, which is basically just asking the client, give me an idea what you like.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need every song. Just kind of tell me what you like. And they listed all the dead people from 2016. So it was Bowie, it was Prince, and it was George Michael. So Bowie's easy. It's Let's Dance. You just throw it in wherever. And usually after a slow set, during a rock set, if there are Bowie fans out there, they're going to dance to Let's Dance. What else are you going to play?
Yeah.
By Bowie that people are going to know. Now Rogers produced it. It's called Let's Dance. Hello. Prince. Oh my gosh, where do you want to go with this? Yeah. You can go anywhere you want with this, depending on who you're working with. You can go Let's Go Crazy. You can do Kiss. You can do a multitude of songs. Catalog's huge. George Michael. The Faith album is wonderful, but to me, it was topical in 1988. I don't think it's the same now. I can't get the same response to I Want Your Sex to a mixed crowd today than I could get in 1988.
Well,
it just doesn't work that way.
Grandma still can get down with it a little bit, but not
maybe
break that hip.
But like I'm thinking, where am I going to go with this? What Freedom 90? No, Wake Me Up Before You Go was the track. Everyone knows it. There's even funny dances to it. But man, and we've had this conversation. I was sweating bullets trying to build to that track. I wanted it so bad. But I kind of had this feeling, just this vibe as I was playing to my crowd that I couldn't just throw it in anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But I did challenge myself because I kept putting it off and I kept putting it off because I just didn't feel it. So here we are. It's 20 minutes to midnight. I'm done at midnight. So I'm going to take 20 minutes to build to Wake Me Up Before You Go Go. And I'm going to end on Wake Me Up Before You Go. That's going to be my peak, kabam, thank you very much, good night, mic drop, walk away song. I got to make it good. So I really did put myself to the challenge, and I pulled it off, and I was so happy I pulled it off. But truth be told, I had done so well at that wedding, if the dance floor just cleared for that song, it would have been unfortunate for my ego, but no one there would have been upset. They'd have been, hey, we had a great night. But I really wanted to end on a bang, and I wanted people to have fun and smile, and it worked.
Oh, so. Certainly. Somebody up in a chat room, where I saw it, they were talking about really basing their play off the crowd and reading body language and different things with that.
Sure.
I think there's a danger to that. And the reason I say it and say it that way is that if you are basing everything off the crowd, and sometimes that really makes it that you get into a comfort zone. Oh, the crowd likes 80s. We're going to do 80s. Or the crowd likes this. We're going to stick in the. So you end up in one or two genres, and that's where you ride. And I think sometimes that gets it where we're not going to take a journey out of that comfort zone occasionally. And that whole taking people on that musical journey and taking them down a road and giving them an experience might mean that you have to drop in something that is more of that challenge or more of that surprise song. And I hesitate when people talk about reading the crowd and just playing what the crowd is reacting to, because that's what computers are going to be able to do in a short period of time. Drax has talked about this. The computer can really see what's going on, and they can set it up where it can watch and know people are out there. This must be working. What's like this? And play that. That can be done. But
here's the trick. I believe, John. Mm-hmm. I believe the trick is this. I've told you about my panhandler game. I've told you about my panhandler game, haven't I?
Refresh my memory, please.
Oh, please tell me I've told you about my pain.
Maybe you have, but bring it back.
I'm going to just say I do this. It's something that we did in the car business, and I get joy out of it because I know that panhandling is nothing but a hustle. There's no one out there who's really hungry. They're hustling. The reason I know they're hustling is because they're going off a script. If you don't know what script I'm talking about, Google it, and you'll find it. There are certain things they do and they don't do to get money, and they're getting a lot of money. So it's fun for me to, if I see a panhandler, and people are going to think I'm a terrible person, but please bear with me. I'm not. These people are all full of crap. I got to figure out what that threshold is, where they're approaching me, where they're going to ask me for $1, and I got to turn to them and ask them for $1 before they can ask me for $1. They got to be close enough, but not close enough to say, hey, can I have $1? I got to just turn to them, look them right in the eye and say, hey, you got $1? And I throw them off script like, and then as they're struggling, I ask them if they have a cigarette just to, have some fun. And then when they finally get the word no out, I throw my arms up, or my arm up in this case, and I walk away. So the reason I bring that story up is because there's that threshold that you have to find with your audience. So if you have some new Mac device that says, oh, people are dancing, we'll keep doing this. What that Mac device can do is anticipate when they've had enough and when maybe what they're doing right now is going over the top. So what I mean by that is if I'm doing a set of 80s songs and it's going great and I'm having fun with it, and I decide I want to push it a little too far, I'm like, you know what? I've really pushed them on this 80s thing and they're responding well, but I think we've peaked on it. I think this is the peak. I think if I went further, I start losing them. I have to be able to anticipate that. If I can't anticipate that, I'm not very good. And I'm not doing my job. Not that anybody notices, but I notice. I know it could be better. And this has happened to me. Like recently, I've been in the groove and I'm like, oh man, I know they've had enough. But I just have to play Party Rock Anthem. It's just the perfect song to play right now. Instead of diving into a rock set, this is what I should do because it will sound great. And I go there, and sure enough, I've pushed it too far. Yeah. And I lose the crowd. Like, and I knew better. I knew better. But I thought, just one more. I got to constantly mix up those genres because if I don't, they're going to grow tired. They've had enough. They've had 3 or 4 tracks from the 90s. We've done the NSYNC, the Backstreet Boys, the Spice Girls, the whatever. If I try to throw OMC's How Bizarre in there, maybe I've gone too far. And usually I have. That is what I'm supposed to anticipate as a DJ.
So you mentioned, of course, when you're pushing and you're getting that crowd and going that direction. How many songs are you doing? You mentioned just switching genres. Are you doing like 3 or 4 songs that were like Party Rock Anthem before that, or are you going from like hitting 2 or 3?
No, I'm talking about like a set. Like I'm talking about like whatever you call that.
Okay.
Top 40 dance, 130 BPM.
That's
shit.
what I was wondering. Yeah, if you were doing like
Right, it could be
3
Pitbull
or
and
4
whatever.
at 130 BPM, and then it's like one more.
I started with Flow Riders Low, and I'm building. And I've done 4 songs very successfully. Maybe 5. I've done 5 very successfully.
Mm-hmm.
I kept like hitting him and hitting him and hitting him. And there's one more I want to play. I just got to get it out. And I do, but it's the wrong move. And I knew it was the wrong move. I knew that I was pushing it too far by going there. I should have done something extreme, like thrown on Gloria Gaynor, I Will Survive. That's what I should have done. Or gone into Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy, or anything, just to switch those genres up. But I didn't do it. I pushed them too far. That's been my experience. That's the lightning that I ride at these shows. I mean, that's the kind of stuff I'm paying attention to. It's certainly not, my tuxedo. These are the things that I'm focusing on.
Rich made a good point when you've gone too far, mentioning to dump it right away in the middle of a song. Would you cut a song?
Sometimes I do, and I don't like doing it. When I do it, but on the other hand, I'm not afraid to admit when I was wrong,
Mm-hmm.
So if I play that tune and the dance floor is not there, and they're not engaging in me at all anymore, they're all having conversations. No one's tapping their foot to this. They had enough of the genre, and I pushed them hard, and I pumped it up. They felt the music. They had the lights. They were done with the experience. They're ready to move on to a new one. I pushed it too far, and if I got to cut a tune, I'll cut a tune. Usually when I cut a tune, though, I typically try to like I got to start all over again. So by that, I'm like, I gotta start at the bottom of a set somewhere. So what's an easy out for that? Easy out, if you can, is a slow set. That's an easy out. I mean, otherwise, you got to successfully try to switch genres there, and you've got no one to play off of. See, if I switched the song when I was supposed to, if I switched the genre when I was supposed to, I would have kept some people on the dance floor that I had for the next genre. Not all of them, but some of them. And I'll bring out new people. But if I got to start from scratch, that might be a slow song. That might be okay. I'm going to cut it after this chorus, and I'm just going to fade out, and we're going to do Unforgettable, or we're going to do Amazed by Lone Star, or whatever. Usually that's what I end up doing. I just bail into a slow set because I know I got to start all over again anyway. And a slow set's going to get people on the dance floor at most events faster than me trying to start a rock set out of nowhere, where no one's engaged at all.
Come on, Grandma, get on the floor. This is AC/DC. Oh, that doesn't work. That doesn't work.
You invite Grandma out to dance with you. She may stick around for you. She could be on that long if you follow up your slow set with it. That could happen. But yeah, she's probably not going to run out there for it. So that's what I do. Sometimes, I've cut them. And I don't like doing it, like I said, because I'm almost admitting defeat at that point.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. It's like, I suck. I'm the worst DJ in the world. And then you're just...
Truth be told, though, it's not about my ego. If I blew it, I blew it. I got to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody would probably say a word if I played the whole song and then started into something else. But why waste
somebody
time?
was mentioning that playing 2 to 2.5 minutes of a song and basically not playing the whole song. And I think that really depends on the type of events.
Sure does.
I would struggle with that at a wedding, not because of the people reaction to, they probably would many times want the whole song, but there's so many times at a wedding that it just takes them a minute and a half to get their butts out there. I love this song, man. I'm gonna go out to the dance floor. Let me just make sure I'm okay here. Get a little drinky, and by the time they get out there, the song's half over. So if I'm only playing a minute or 2 minutes of a song, there's 40 seconds left of the song by the time they get their butt out there.
As a party goer, I hate that.
Cutting them short.
Yeah. And I've seen DJs who just pat themselves on the back for doing quick mix after quick mix. And I just want to go up there and murder them because I'm not enjoying it. And the crowd, quite frankly, they're the crowd usually when people do that, I've noticed that you could be playing an hour's worth of Tiptoe Through the Tulips by Tiny Tim and they'd still dance. It's not like they're really motivating their crowd. They've got a crowd. They're self-starters. They're out there dancing. The DJ's kind of doing what they want to do. I've never seen anybody say, yeah, you know what? I only want you to play verse chorus out of every tune for the night. I've never seen anybody ask for that specifically. But I've seen DJs say, I'd like to do it, but I've never heard anybody want that at a party.
But I think it's one of those things that at times doing it sporadically and with the right songs can definitely work and work well.
Sure.
But it's not something
I've
over the whole night. It's like, oh, verse, chorus out, verse, chorus out, verse, chorus out.
What I've done a lot, I've done this a lot, is especially with a lot of that music that came out about 5 years ago, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, we had this whole slew of tracks that kind of had the top 40 formula, where it was intro, verse, chorus, B section, chorus. I mean, that was the structure of all the tunes. Every song was like that. And what was interesting about the tunes is after the B section, we'd heard the chorus before. We were repeating what we'd already done 3 times. Mm-hmm. So I didn't feel bad about mixing out at the B. That I didn't feel bad about. So I would do, the intro, verse, chorus, B mix out into intro, verse, chorus, mix out at the B, because we didn't have a reason we needed to hear that chorus for a 4th time. But if there's a part of the song I'm waiting for that doesn't happen, I do find that annoying.
Oh, very much so.
This is one part that I really got to hear, and maybe it's just a slight pitch change in the vocalist's voice, but I want that.
Yeah, you want to get to that because
life according to me. Who cares?
It doesn't say "Don't stop believing" until the very end of the song, and if you cut that out,
right,
I'll never know.
Yeah, exactly. And people do that.
Yeah, exactly. But then on the flip side, that's using that song in particular. I used that at a school where we were doing something, and I jumped right to that point, just to get that bridge at the end, and it was like it went over incredibly well. But it was a specific thing, and I needed it for a specific moment. It wouldn't be something that I would do. Well, I've done it once, and I don't know if I would do it again. Maybe if the situation arose, but
sure,
they don't arise that often that way.
Now, the only time I think that you can do the verse chorus out successfully, and Jimmy's saying he's guilty of quick mix. The only way that I think that you can do this successfully is, and I've done it, and I say I've done it, but I haven't done it often. I've done it in the studio. I haven't done it live. Is if you can guarantee that the next track is going to be better than the last one you played.
Yep.
That's the only way I think you can do it successfully. And you got to keep that up for a long time. So know what you want to do. I did that with a 90s mix one time. And I think I started off with, oh boy, what the hell did I throw? I started off with Enigma's Sadness. And I ended with Black Box's Strike It Up. And I think I did it in about 9 minutes. And there were, that was a huge BPM bump for one.
Yeah.
And I think there were probably 22 songs in that mix. It was in, out, but every song was better than the next. And it was one little set. I think that's cool. But if you do a night of that, that's a bummer. It's like a total bummer, especially when the next song that they mix into is not as good as the song that they just mixed out of. That's a bummer.
Oh, exactly. It's like, oh, I love that song. And this song, yeah.
Yeah.
That is for sure. Yeah, I don't think there's any rule of thumb. You know, some folks are. It's interesting. It's kind of like almost the Mac PC. I don't cut songs. I cut songs all the time.
Yeah, it's no right or wrong, folks. These are just very strong opinions from a couple old farts. So we got a mic. They got a mic and an audience tonight.
Yeah. And by the way, thank you guys for watching us tonight. We've got folks out on Facebook and YouTube that are joining us and chatting away. So it's always great to catch up with our DJ family on Tuesday nights. See what's going on.
Oh, they're mentioning Tom's Diner. It was in the mix. Let me try to think of what the hell I did in that mix. I did Enigma's Sadness. I also did Eric B. and Rakeem's Paid in Full. I did Milli Vanilli Girl, You Know It's True. Shanice, I Love Your Smile. I believe I did Jaya, Don't Walk Away. I did Tom's Diner, of course. I did Keep On Moving, Soul to Soul. It was everything that had that beat that I could think of.
Right.
It's just that beat. That was the first part of the mix. And Jaya's Don't Walk Away was where I kind of started going more into the energy, and I did, oh boy, like I Want to Sex You Up by whatever those guys' names was. Color Me Bad.
Color Me Bad, yeah.
Yeah. And I think I did oh boy. Shanice, I Love Your Smile was in there. And eventually I turned that into the Humpty Dance, and then everything just went to hell, and I just started going boom. It was a fun mix. I still have it somewhere. I've actually posted it somewhere. It's not like Mixcloud or something, and it's done real well. But yeah, I've done that one. It's fun.
Good. We are going to wrap things up, gang. We're getting up to our 1 hour point. Before we wrap things up, Brian, anything to look that's going to be coming out later this week that folks are going to be able to see? Because you were talking earlier
on my channel.
Yeah, you were talking that you wanted to do some more video stuff this afternoon. That you were busy with other things. Man,
I'm working on the table over here.
Yep.
And I've got some ideas for it. They're not completely cultivated. I don't know how much I've even mentioned it, but I am really actively working on the new microsystem. And it's going to be completely different than the old one. Like, I'm changing everything. I got a case in for the mixer. I don't have the mixer yet. I'm kind of at Pioneer's mercy on this and hoping they've got it shipped. I don't have a tracking number, but I think it's coming.
Mm-hmm.
I'm waiting for some microphones as well. Probably won't see them until next week. But I'm slowly building the system. And I got to do some custom work to the case once I get everything in. I've got some parts sitting here, some more stuff I need to order. I'm working on that. That's been the focus. And there are other things. Tomorrow I'm getting a shipment of something really interesting, and then I'm going to probably do a video on right away. Something that I think is a neat idea. And somebody in the UK is building these custom. If you want to look it up, SubSafe is what this is called, but I think it's a brilliant idea. You guys are going to like it. There's a lot of stuff coming, and it's and what I'm really enjoying and having a lot of fun with lately is that I feel like I'm doing a good variety of stuff, even if you guys don't. I think I am. I'm engaged because I'm genuinely interested and I want to do this stuff. So it's not just, okay, here's another moonflower. I'm doing a lot of different things.
Exactly.
And I'm having fun with it.
I saw one of your pictures. It looked like you had a base plate that you put on top of the booth. Yeah,
it's over there right now. I can move it over here if you want to see it. I just stuck it there. Here, I'll show you real quick.
Yes, this is live video, gang, and when we come up with and ask questions, this is what you get. You get to see things live.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, because I just tripped over my microphone USB plug in it.
Yeah, no, we've got mic.
Plug it back in. Okay. So here's the equivalent of an inner pocket spot right here.
Yeah.
And then all I did was I just took a base plate without any half couplers on it. I just sat on the corner like that. It's actually pretty stable, just sitting there, and put the moving head on here. And I did that as a last minute concept for somebody asking me, how would you mount a moving head to the booth? How would you do this? There are 60 different ways to mount it. I haven't really came up with one that I like better than another, but it's very possible to do something like this. This little shelf up here, you can pop a mover on there. Another concept that I came up with actually I say I came up with, but that's not really fair. People were throwing some suggestions out there, so collectively as a group we came up with this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I got a pole zip tied to the table here. This is just something I pulled out of a tripod, and the reason I did it was I thought it would be interesting to mount a fixture a little higher up, kind of behind the DJ, like a moving head or something.
Yeah.
So if I turn the camera up here, see, I got a moonflower up there.
Right.
I got a mini decker up there.
Mm-hmm.
It could very easily be moving head, but as you can see, my ceiling height is kind of limited down here.
Yeah, you don't have a ton of room.
So I would have to tear all this apart and bring it into the living room. And as you can imagine, Blanca doesn't tolerate that for too terribly long.
No, not so much.
For maybe a day, but then it starts to suck. So yeah, I'm limited. Maybe, once I win the lottery, I can expand and have a better studio and all that stuff. But until then, you're stuck with the dungeon with the ceilings that I'm bumping my head on because I think I'm growing again. I clocked myself on top of the head with the ventilation pipes. That never happens, and I did it today.
Ouch.
But no, I'm just working on things. I'm just trying things.
Mm-hmm.
It's creativity. It's fun. I like it. I'm really excited about bringing this table out. I'm waiting for this new mixer to come in, and the reason I'm waiting for this mixer to come in before I bring the table out is because the mixer case that I have right now has the laptop stand built into it, and it's really too deep for this table. So I need to go separate laptop stand and a standard mixer case to make this fit right.
Yeah.
There are also some things that I may want to do to the case I ended up with. It doesn't have feet on the bottom of it, and I'm finding that it's limiting me on what laptop stand I can use.
Mm-hmm.
So I may have to do some modifications to this case, like add feet to it. I'm also going to add a microphone gooseneck adapter to the lid, just like I did in my other one, and I'll do a complete mod video on that at the workbench because I have that now, which is really nice. I can work right there and have all my tools right there. So yeah, I'm having fun with this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really having fun. Just getting all of these, weirdo things in to try.
Yeah.
Stuff that I don't normally do. I did a laptop stand challenge last week.
I saw that.
And I don't think the video did particularly well, but it was fun to do because it was just different. I hadn't done anything like that in a while. So I'm having fun. I'm really having fun right now. Just doing stuff.
Good stuff. And we'll get to see more of it later. That table, I'm definitely interested in watching your progression with that because that is such a cool look. And I think for my homecoming dances this fall, I think that might be I like to change something up a little bit each season between homecoming and prom. And I changed my light show for last fall, modified it and changed it again with uplighting for the prom season. Now I need to change the look again for next fall. So
here, I'll tell you something. that I don't think I've ever said publicly. I know I haven't. I saw this at NAMM, right? And I thought, hey, that's cool. That is cool. And Tom Ferret, who is the head of American Audio, looked at me and said, that's cool?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. We're just trying it. I said, no. That's cool. So let's fast forward to last week. Out of nowhere, literally out of nowhere, I get a phone call. Hey, it's Tom Ferret. I'm in Milwaukee. Like, really? It's like, yeah, let's hang out. I'm like, well, come on over. So I'm all excited. I'm like, I'm going to show Tom what I did to this table. I know he may have seen a picture on Facebook or whatever, but I want to show him, I want him to see it and feel it. And, so we cleaned up the studio real quick and Tom came over and I'm like, Tom, look what I did. And Tom's like, yeah, it's cool. Yeah, those things are kind of a pain in the butt to ship because of the size or whatever. This is not what Tom's focused on. This is not what Tom's excited about. This is not what the ADJ group of companies would like me to be talking about right now. But I personally love it. Mm-hmm. This is something that I just love and I won't shut up about the damn thing. And I'm looking at it like, okay, I've tried to express this in a few comments. There are people who are comparing this table to some of the pre-made tables that are out there. That oh, well, this table doesn't have that problem or that problem. It's a better table. Yeah, it's a better table, but it's also $1,400 more than this table. So you could look at this a couple different ways. You can go out and buy a $1,400 table that's perfect, kind of like ordering a Cadillac Escalade just the way you want it.
Yep.
It's perfect. There's nothing you want to do to it. It's got the wheels on it. It's got the sound system, everything. You might take it for window tint. That's it. Or you could buy a 59 Cadillac and customize it the way you want it. This is the 59 Cadillac. And it's going to turn more heads than your brand new Escalade. And it's going to cost less. That's how I'm looking at the table. I'm having fun with it. It's just a blank palette for me. And every time somebody says, yeah, but the yeah, buts drive me nuts, man. I'm like, what do you mean, yeah, but? Okay, fine. Well, you can see your gear through it. Well, okay, let's here. $17 solved.
Mm-hmm.
Done. Next. I'm having fun with this. And I haven't come up with every solution for this table because there are some challenges that, depending on how you look at it. But it's fun. And I am really looking forward to bringing it on the road at whatever level that I take it to. A lot of the stuff that I'm going to be doing, I think, in videos starting perhaps tonight, maybe tomorrow, are mods that I may be suggesting just to kind of plant seeds. Some of them might even be complete or may not even be from me particularly, but they're things that people have been asking for. So well, how do you mount a light to it, or how do you do this? I'm going to show you some ideas of where you might be able to start doing this.
Yeah, and that'll be interesting because of the unusual pipe size. You were saying it was a little bit different than traditional.
It is, and I don't have all the answers. I really don't. But man, what a fun challenge!
Mm-hmm.
What a cool product, especially when you make it yours, and then you go out there and the client is not going to say, oh yeah, we saw that table at the last. Like, wow, that's pretty cool. I've never seen one of those before because it's yours. You built it. It's like going to a car show. If every 65 Mustang looked exactly alike, would you look at more than one of them? No. Hey, this one's different. Oh, look at that one. It's fun. I enjoy this kind of stuff. This is just what turns me on and what I like. So,
getting the hands dirty. All right, gang. Thank you guys for being with us tonight. We will be back again next week with our shows.
Whether you like it or not.
Whether you like it or not, yes. If you want to get the schedule and such, make sure you're signed up on our email list because on Sunday mornings we send out the different shows. And now we're sending out the links and such for the Monday shows, so that way you guys can get that. Because Monday we start at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern with our first show of the week. So, Brian?
If you like this show, please let us know.
Yeah.
In the comment section would be great.
Yep.
And let us know what you liked about the show. If there's something you didn't like about the show, let us know too. We want to know.
And if you got some thoughts of things you'd like us to cover in future shows, let us know.
Please.
Good night, everybody.